The situation in Brazil, you might have watched in the documentary of The Corrupt Judge. The point of view of the reporter of Portugal is very truthful. What happens in Brazil is actually even more scandalous that most people would think even watching the show. What happens here in Brazil, it started a long time ago. There was corruption using laws and rules to break people up, accuse them of being corrupted, of doing things that elite do all the time. So this makes people corrupted by default. And lots of people are criminalized, accused, put guilty of anything at all. So some corrupt people can stay corrupted like forever. What happens in Brazil is something that happens in several places of the planet. Some elite gets lots and lots of money. Basically, they use illegal ways and they wouldn't be able to say legally because if it was in law, written law, we would read it and we will know about it and we would get mad. So what they do is they manage some amount of money so huge, so huge that they can't avoid to hide from us because normal people don't have any idea how much big that money is. And for a Brazilian, 30,000 reais, like 30 mil reais, is a lot of money. It's like, let me see, 20 minimum salaries of Brazil. It's a lot of money. And this is the level Brazilians support at the maximum, annoyed that the politicians to have. And politicians have in Congress this official salary. But compared to the big guys, the elite, that really have good investment, and it's possible to have good investment being honest actually, on contrary of what Lex says. You can have so much money, but so much money that is unthinkable, honestly, because interest, good use, using money to get more money several ways, yada yada. But since this level of money is so huge and so powerful and so dangerous in some sense, there is a kind of barrier and people can't know that the elites have so much more money than people think they have because Congress people have the right to make laws and the honest new congressman gets a I don't want corrupt, I don't want corrupt. Who would want corrupt? I want to be an honest man, want to change the country. But elites manage a level of money so bigger that construction companies manage. You know, the big data, big companies, huge companies, not normal companies, huge corporativism. That not capitalism, don't use word capitalism, please. Capitalism is a so vague word. I'm using a word here, connected. Big companies, big money with big state. They have so huge amount of money that those people can avoid to hide from people because people would get insane just to think about it. Is what they have been trying to hide it because the business guy have it but they don't have the law and the law worth lots of money. Big companies compete with one another. Big companies compete in such a level that one can be corrupt and corrupt a politician. And when a politician gets corrupt, it gets promoted by the huge money pile. And the huge money pile needs it because the huge money pile really, really needs to make good deals. And for them, your problem. You sign it, your problem. I don't care about laws because I know you make these laws, writing stuff. You make lots of dirty laws, bad laws, good laws. We don't care. We want to do our business. We want to make more money. We want work, get more bucks, yada yada. Be happy, whatever. More power, and they can't get enough. Apparently, it's normal. It's the way of life. Is what they want for their life to have more money. It's their way. And politicians say like, too much money, too much money. He have too much money. You know, I can't defeat my boss like president because that guy have lots of money. So I need corrupt. And they go yada yada. So they all get corrupted and lie. And they punish then the honest people, saying they are corrupt, but basically anything, because they have the power, they have the money, and have the signature to say this is a law. That was the power of the congressman. So when people start voting better, they start aiming at the president because who have time for politics, right? So when politicians behave badly, they keep voting for the president. When then society evolves, they aim for the congressman. And the congressman, Brazil vote mostly for right wingers, and it's the evangelical and a lot of people that are conservatives and keep voting and doesn't change anything. Why? Because the president of Brazil control the boss of the houses. How he controls the boss? He basically buys them. They say, work with me and you get bonus. If you don't work, you will have an enemy. So these guys control the Congress. That's basic no. All they can say basically is no. They can pass laws basically without approval of the rich guys. The rich guys work for the big guy, and that's Lula. Big guy is Lula. And Lula got big trouble because someone in Lava Jato operation, car watch, they got the dollar guy, and they got a lot of companies, a lot of people involved in car watch operation, the operation of lots of businessmen, people that are rich. They are officially Brazilian, but they are basically elite class. It's elite class that sometimes Brazil, America, they can change countries. They are above. It's not just a citizen, it's above people. Rich people. And they have lots of power and money. And Car Watch gets their money, their companies, get their politicians, catch one after the other, and then they catch Lula. And then the system implodes because the system works that way. The money is immeasurable. Immeasurable. Billions compared to 30,000. People would get insane because our law worth way more than $1 million. And that's the problem. That's the value of the law. So laws are not measured well, and congressmen are not measured properly due to their importance. And normal people can even hear it of one single increase in their salary anymore because they're starving and their life is difficult, yada yada. So when they understand that these congressmen are trying to make laws and some want to change things, that's why don't you change them? But this is a very special people because most people would just be watching television, and that's really global in Brazil. Basically, something like old CNN. CNN on Brazil is behaving better. I say better, didn't say good. But Rede Globo is really, really, really a bad television. Nowadays was better and it's very corrupted. But Rede Globo had so much problems. So much problem. And I can say about corrupting of Rede Globo, lots of it. One of the cases, there was an election between Lula and another president, and they put the better moments of the other candidate to president. Say president, it was a candidate to president, and then after they support Lula, they keep doing the same thing. Focus on good things. There was the debate on television channel between a candidate and Lula, and they supported that guy that was Fernando Collor. They put the best news, the best moments on the journal, pushing forward that guy when they didn't like Lula. And they started liking Lula. Lula learned the lesson of the elites after some time and behave with the elites, become elite. And he says bad stuff about the elite, but he's part of them now. He's joined the club. And people join the club basically when they behave like the elite wants. Not all the elites, but the elite's corporativism elite. The guys that take most of the taxes and stuff. And Rede Globo is connected to it. Because mainstream media is establishment, of course. They control the masses, the way of thinking of people. So Lava Jato crush everyone, every politician. So of course, what they did, they crushed Lava Jato. So everyone that tried to investigate the criminals is obviously a criminal. That's the logic of the system. If you are accusing someone of a crime, you are the criminal. Says the criminal. That's their logic. So what they did is they are corrupt, basically. And they lost. So Lula go to jail. Sergio Moro wins. Lula got to jail. Then they do an amazing deal apparently with the judges of Brazil and say, get him out of jail. So they release Lula and a lot of criminals same day. They say, well, according to this law of Brazil, yada yada, and no, you need to be judged better, basically, what they say. You need to be judged on more courts, and suddenly, out of nowhere, they noticed that on Constitution. I don't know why they didn't read the Constitution before, since they are judges, but since they suddenly noticed that you need to be judged well, they suddenly interpreted that you need to be judged in more courtrooms, they released Lula. And that's how Lula was released. Not considered not guilty. That's so messy and is messy. Because after it, they released a lot of criminals, of course, to release Lula as well, because the law is the law. Was a nightmare. Imagine Brazilia's right-wingers, lots of criminals being released at the same time, all the streets, with Lula at the same time. That's Brazil. That was Brazil. You get that news. If you didn't, you are not getting the news from some people that should be giving the news. You're probably hearing news that coming from mainstream media. And they will say trash about Bolsonaro, wouldn't even try to argue about Bolsonaro now, is, they trash the enemies. You know people are fail. They make mistakes. Everyone does. But the problem is that the corruption level of Brazil is above measurement because the corruption of Brazil is connected with entrepreneurs in other countries, including America, because the guys that basically paid people from every place of Congress to support a law that couldn't get from one guy, the smart guy. Who was it? Guess what? Bolsonaro. So what elected Bolsonaro? Some line we heard eventually. Some say everyone here make the deal. Everyone except one. Who? Bolsonaro. That's done. Bolsonaro already had support, but when people heard about it, he got a lot of support. So this makes a spiral, and there's a lot of reason why Bolsonaro was elected, but this pushing him forward. So basically, Brazil voted for corruption, Bolsonaro, and then Bolsonaro hits in the face of Rede Globo of television and just destroys them into debate a lot. So after it, Rede Globo doesn't sleep, literally. Rede Globo is 24 hours attacking Bolsonaro, and the judges, they say Bolsonaro is guilty. That is after Bolsonaro got stabbed, after everything that happens in Brazil. Like, the level of corruption in Brazil was high, but they got specialized and they got worse and worse and worse and gets worse because then we had internet, and of course the elites are so scared right now because lots of them have money, people want it, many want to steal it, and many are corrupted and got that money in corrupted ways. So we should separate things. I'm not against people have money, even big money. That's not my problem. Some socialists want to steal their money and stuff. That's not my problem. My problem is not like with guys like Elon Musk, for example. My problem is not with honest politicians as well. My problem is not against that. My problem is basic against lies. I really dislike lies. And I like truth. And the truth is that this corrupted system gets worse because now they had to force Lula back in charge because no one else had popularity. And if they didn't, every system of corruption in Brazil would get destroyed. So it was like forced. They were pushed to it because they had to put Lula back in charge because the elites couldn't handle it. Congress would be like destroyed. But Lava Jato, not by Bolsonaro, Lava Jato comes before than Bolsonaro, and they crush everyone that is in their way. And Lava Jato Car Watch was the biggest anti-corruption system in the world, of the operation in the world, bigger than any American version, any corruption of any country, and history was the car watch operation before Lula being released. And Lula tried to get a title of minister from President Dilma Rousseff to not be in jail when police was going to arrest him, and that was abuse of power. So Dilma got it would show everywhere that she was trying to give a paper without a motive. She said, on the emergency, you sign it. There's no meaning of the emergency is exactly to escape jail. It's clear that it was to escape jail. Anyone would say to escape jail if it was honest. But then, that's the problem. Dilma was the president. Dilma, the woman that is in China bank now. I don't know how China will survive with that woman because she was accused of robbing banks or whatever. But she said she helped in some operations when she was dealing with some situations I won't talk much about now. But you understand that when Dilma gets on Lula, of course there was impeachment of Lula. What the media says, oh no, a coup in Brazil. There was a coup in Brazil. Dilma is taken away because the people of Brazil watch television. And television said, oh no, the good guy that is against the elite. Says the elite. The guy that's going to help the people because these rich capitalist guys, says the capitalist guys, the Rede Globo, the big guys, the biggest, most powerful company capitalist of Brazil, says that, you know, Lula was kind of not so bad. So the problem is Rede Globo, Rede Globo tried to save Lula and couldn't because no one can save the image of a guy like that, so corrupt as Lula is. So the judges try to save Lula because Lula is the symbol people wanted, and they can't stand well because Lula is corrupt. The right wingers push and they try to silence. So it got worse and worse and worse. Then there's the election, and the election of Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro, he grows so fast that they couldn't stop him. But then Rede Globo pushed him out election. COVID, of course, he was called a genocide because he took too long for accepting a deal that says basically if anyone dies, it's not our fault. And he was like, wait a minute, is that safe? No one knew how harsh would be COVID. So he said, it's not important. No, it's very important. We're all going to die. So no. So COVID and censorship all worldwide was increasing because China, of course, was desperate. Because what is bad for China's reputation is really, really bad for them, and is bad for everyone that deals with them as ally, isn't it? So the problem is that China was trying to censor, and lots of people were trying to sell big money. So always big money, and there are people offering, this medicine helps, medicine doesn't help, blah 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 blah, and this medicine. As this discussion of COVID, I just want to skip it. Basically, was in the middle of Bolsonaro uh, temper of president, time of as president. So Bolsonaro was dealing with this and Rede Globo pushing. And these judges, they got someone that accused Bolsonaro of something, and then they couldn't prove legally because would be obvious that it was absurd. So they said Bolsonaro have 3 days to explain things. And one of the things they get at Bolsonaro stole jewelry. Why? Because socialism, communism, the strategy of Soviets. Accuse them of what you do is their strategy. And what happened is something has missing in Brasilia, and right wingers have accused Dilma of that. So is basically now it's your turn. Bolsonaro, where are the jewelry? But you know what? The truth, the real truth, there was a case that Vladimir Putin, let's say, missed apparently a thing of Brazil, a ring or something of Brazil. So who is the stealer of jewelry? Of course, will say is Bolsonaro, isn't it? But actually, our big problem is the Soviet Union anti-American mentality centered on robbing people, including Ukraine, that is a Pacific country. Was Pacific. And if there's a war between the elites, capitalists and socialists, why didn't Russia just push against America? What Ukraine had to do it was very simple. Ukraine pushed forward against the guys on the top that was controlling Ukraine, that was like a president associated, let's say, with Russia, and you want to associate with Europe. Okay? So the problem is Putin wants and takes. That's how he does his business. And this elites, a lot of them do this aggressive negotiation. Basically, they push him, they face him to submit. Accept this deal. That's the way of they doing stuff. Accept the deal. And Ukraine didn't, and the people don't. And the American people say the same thing to England. That's how you get freedom sometimes. Sometimes it's the way of getting freedom. Saying no. Independence of or that. Something like that. So when we deal with the problem of Brazil, we start to discover some things. Venezuela, 4 problems. Lula actually in Foro of São Paulo supported Maduro, so Lula is connected a lot with Maduro. So if you want to handle Venezuela, you want to handle Lula. Lula is like 6th grade, and he is corrupt. Let's be very clear. Lula is corrupt. He said he's the most honest people in the world because he is really selling the lies. But he was caught on the internet saying the lies. You know about it. It doesn't work. You can't shut it. You can't sell it a good product. It's like the emperor is naked, basically, and everyone needs to pretend he isn't. And he's naked. And so it's annoying. No one can stand. No one will have peace until that guy puts some clothes, So that's the problem. So right now, what happens is even worse because Putin have actually behind a lot of problems with this Cold War, let's say, is over, just to calm people down, that they have with Americans all the time. They have this, well, mine, not yours, mine, not yours, mine, not yours, mine, yours, mine, and it's mine, not yours, and they keep trying to control people, but it's not theirs. And Ukraine was in peace. They were choosing NATO. They were choosing Europe. NATO was, we have nothing to do. Please have peace, Russia. Ukraine, please have peace. Biden tried to be peaceful. I'm warning you, Putin, don't invade. He will invade Ukraine. Watch it. He will invade. I have nothing to do. Then Putin goes, and people said that Putin wants to do stuff, but Putin was like, hey, Ukraine, behave, make deals. But turns out that Ukraine did try to make deals because Russia invaded Crimea first. Ukraine have already tried to have peace with the guy. They tried to have peace with that annoying guy, Putin. And Putin pushed forward and steals their land. And after he loses, he keeps doing it and threatening, saying nukes, and Poland. He's talking his nonsense, and his nonsense is really annoying. But it's worse because when Venezuela had almost taken out by the people that don't stand Maduro, because turns out sometimes what is best for the people is food. Like not socialism, not Russianism, food. And sometimes it's aligned to middle class with the American elite's interest or something, right wingers or some capitalism or something. People just want food and they don't get. What turns out that people in Venezuela was taking out Maduro, friend of Lula, if you're getting it, friend of Lula, and they were pushing forward and they were almost taking him out. And what the guy do? He sent the warships, he sent the submarines or something like that, and he helps to stabilize Venezuela, basically saying, this is mine. So we are in a secret Cold War that's never ended and for a long time was not, and it's not even cold very much, is it? But turns out corruption is worse because then, as expected, Elon Musk bought Twitter because he had some things to talk, and people that have money they will pay to talk apparently. And Trump, the president of the right wingers, was talking things that people want to talk, and they was talking, and he was representing them well on Twitter. And some people on Twitter shut him down. When they shut him down, they sent a message. The message is, we are the bosses now. So what the guy does, the guy buys the Twitter to have some peace, to talk with people a little more, of course. And then, of course, he gets a big problem because he finds out that Twitter was censoring people. Who would guess? Of course, people were censored because Brazil was censored, because Brazil level of corruption was unimaginable, because people know way more apparent than other people that our country is very corrupted, and this elite was hiding things because Car Watch was destroying them and they were pushed. They had to shut people because there was so much things. I can't even talk about it. So much things that in Brazil were so much corruption that they had to, let's say, not help Bolsonaro in the election. Let's put that way. They were like in the side of not delivering the things they should intellectual way of Brazil handling stuff, not sending the message, the propaganda that should be both sides very well. There was several cases, and was basically all judges almost from Lula's side on Supreme Court of Brazil. There was judging the election. So I'm not saying that it was a stolen election. I'm saying that people want to question it, and when they question, they just shut up. And they censored everyone on internet because COVID, people talking, it was just too much. They censored it. How they censored? They censored. Like, what's happening on Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg already said something was happening in Brazil similar to that. The guy on Twitter, Elon Musk, said that the Twitter files, they said, and it's true, vanish. Lots of people on internet talk. Shut up. You can talk. You can't talk, basically. Why? Because you violate terms of our community. Vague. But they didn't. That's the problem. They didn't violate because there was no explanation of the terms of the community, because the terms of community was do not anoint the left, basically. And that was the terms. And you don't have a democracy with that. That's a big no-no. So when they did that. They really, really, really annoying a lot of Brazil, and then they keep pushing for because they didn't know how people work and people talk. People can't just shut up when you were really a bad person. They keep talking truth and oh no, we censor you. Shut up, or shut up, shut up, shut up, and keep saying people to shut up. So they push for everyone that telling anything against the elite, basically judges and Supreme Court. Shut up, 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 shut up. And they keep doing it because the judges was releasing Lula, putting him back in charge, yada yada. And there was the situations of Brazil that Brazil was involved in the Cold War. The military regime of Brazil was in a Cold War. So what are we now basically? In a like Cold War. So you understand how desperate Brazilians were when they go to the front of the military and they say, help, help, because the military have told them, well, you want some socialism in Brazil? Okay, you get, but we are warning you. You will have problems later. Trust me. And they were help us, because they were censored on internet and people talk and they were censored. That guy, the monarch, he was trying to not sell Nazism. He was not selling Nazism. He wasn't saying Nazism was a good thing. He was trying to say, because he was a guy talking about things, you know, freedom of expression, let's argue about it. But when he touched the topic of Nazism, you know it's a very harsh topic I'm talking about. That's a very harsh topic. But they talk, so freedom of expression, how do you tolerate the speech of intolerant, blah 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 blah, and then they started talking. And isn't socialism worse than Nazism? What is conclusion of that line of limits of expression is, if Nazism should be banished, socialism that killed more people should be too. And then they crush the guy. Yes, they crushed the guy. Because what they were going to do, he was talking, he was famous, popular, he was talking truth. And he was talking the truth that was going to basically destroy the left. Force them to reform it entirely. And you know how the people still love socialism. I won't talk about how amazing socialism is for everyone because I'm being ironic, and I won't talk about because it is not our level here. If you think socialism is great, you're out of the right place. So I will be clear. This was the problem until they censor people. But the thing is, if you are getting this message, it's because it's being allowed to you. Because right now there is lots of people trying to censor internet. How do they censor internet? They censor it by not censoring now. It's a secret censoring, basically. They call Shandong banning, basically. They twist it like this. They try to control, like measurement is how to use with taxes as well. They try to control. They try to say, well, you don't work anymore. You understand? You don't talk anymore. Understand? Because you can't. Well, now you work for us. Okay, you can a little, and now, so this is being dominated by the establishment, not by the government, but the establishment. This is the establishment. The establishment works not only when they are in the power, but always. They're trying to bend you into submission. Understand? With taxes, regulation. No, 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 you can't. Of course, there are good regulations, but it's so messy. You know, you don't have perfection, so you can't work here, basically. Because not safe without perfection, Mr. Little Guy. That's normally how it works. But what they fear, and they fear a lot, is a critical mass. Because a critical mass can change everything. They are not so afraid of me talking. They are not so afraid of you talking, but they should, but they aren't. Because the truth is, we can change things. One person change things. And truth is a natural winner. I debate a lot. Truth is a natural winner. And will defeat them. You just keep pushing forward. But thing is, they will try to push us backwards. And one against the another. And there's a lot of problems, a lot of discussions of social isolated groups. Like, there's other topics we'll discuss sometimes. But the truth is, basically, that something connected with the left, primarily, very important, is connected with Russia. And Russia have a philosophy of lies. And Putin is above the law in their philosophy. And since he's above the law in their philosophy, and he wants Ukraine, he attacked Ukraine because he is being pushed, aggressive negotiation, peacekeeping, we control the board, we fight for the board, blah, 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 blah. They fight for the board, the elite, like, the big guys, keep pushing, but we want peace. So what is the truth? We can't lie. They want to, but we can't lie. We can't lie because it's our job to tell the truth. Who are we? Two Christians, honest people, honest Muslims, honest atheists, honest politicians. And if we keep talking the truth, one day they will have to stop lying. And if we keep talking truth, they will have to pay to censor. They have to kill to censor. They have to annoy, to threat, to force people into submission, to threaten, and we'll get Spencer for them. And we have something they don't have. Society, honest people have time. Yeah, but the elites have EA. We can make it. But they have we can make that. We should use our time to make peace and tell truth. Because truth destroys crime. So if this system is not designed to deal with this level of, big money, importance of laws, and now truth is on the way, they want to banish truth, but truth needs to be on the way because now it's the generation that needs to learn truth and teach people to and have people with truth. And the truth is, they will try to censor, and now they will try to censor Europe. They are trying to censor everywhere. So keep pushing forward, please.